Yo. So today we're going to be breaking down and analyzing my gameplay. Basically the whole point of this video is so I can learn and you can learn. I'm going to be as critical as possible so I can improve. Since I didn't play that bad this game, I chose this as the game to review. I'm going to try not to use my foresight to help me and instead make predictions. If at any point I mess something up, you can tell me below in the comments. It doesn't matter if I'm at a high rank or a low rank as long as what I'm saying has value. Even though my problems might not be the same as yours, you can still use this video to help you. Here's my stat line for the game. And spoilers, but here's the scoreboard for the game. Alright, now this is one of the most important parts of the game. You look at what map you're on. Then you look at what side you're on. Then you look at your team's comp. Then you look at the enemy team's comp. Then you say, based on their comp, where are they going to set up on the map? Now, based off our comp, we have a lot of utility except for Reyna. Astra has stars, I have rockets, Yoru has blind, and Killjoy has our mollies. Now we can keep in mind the fact that we have a really good comp for post plants, and even entering onto the site. We still haven't even taken into account what their team comp looks like. They have Vise, which is a pretty strong anchor. They also have Sova, who's a recon character and who's good at clearing. They have Jet, who is their dive character and who could also op. They have the Reyna that can use her eyes to flash, or she can lurk. And they also have an Astra, which means extra utility for them. If you wanted to get really technical, Vise could flash and Astra can lurk, but it's not very likely. It's pretty much similar on our side, except for the fact that Sova's a little bit more info heavy compared to Tejo, and the Jet Yoru comparison, Yoru's a lot better against their Sentinel, since he can trip the Vise wall with his clone. Also, going B isn't bad here, since Vise is most likely going to be on A. Now, the reason I'm showing you these three angles is because someone like Jet or Reyna could be playing in these spots. So when it comes to optimization, you're going to want to ask your Astra to call a star back from here, so you don't have to waste your utility, and so you can instead have it on the site. Now I will admit the rockets I used were bad because I used them before Yoru was on the site, but he ended up killing Jet, making it clear even in the space where my rockets were at. So the only problem I have with this is the fact that I didn't use my stun missile correctly, which I could have used to help clear more of the site or to stop the rotate since 30 seconds had already passed in the round. I believe the best way to play Valorant is to make as many smart predictions as possible based on the knowledge that's already given to you. An example is things like enemy tendencies. Based on the first round and the rounds after that, you can come up with strategies to counter your enemy, even using knowledge based on other games that you've played in Valorant. Now your predictions aren't always going to be right, but since they're based on the enemy's tendencies, it's a high chance it's not going to be wrong. So a good example is, on round 2 when you force buy, there's a high likelihood that the enemy is going to push towards the middle of the map or they're going to push one of the mains. This is basically how IGLs think, and that's why things like communication are valued so highly in this game, especially in the higher ranks, because the slightest bit of communication can help make or break your team. Now enough with the yapping and looking at the round. As you can see, we're 5-man running it down A main. Now if I would have used my brain and called a strat before the round started, you can clearly see that they have a Sova on their team, and his job is to get information. We decided to barefoot stomp our way up A main, and basically tell everybody on their team that we're here. And then we all decide to hide behind the smoke, especially me, which results in us losing the round. And now here's where it starts to get sweaty, because clearly we didn't make the best play possible. We saw Reyna and we saw Jet on B last round, which means that there's a decent chance that Sova's either going to be in Art or somewhere on A. And like I said in the beginning, there's a high chance Vise is going to be playing A. And the best possible thing you can do here is wait out the dart and walk up A main. And since it's an eco round for the enemy team, they're going to try to take space as much as they can, or they're going to over rotate through their spawn. And since we know what they're going to do, it gives us the advantage.
Reloading.
Grenade is live.
Last player standing. A.
Now I'm showing you this clip because this is actually what it means to bait. If you are staring at your teammate and watching them die, like I am here, that is what you call baiting. It kind of takes you being a bit of a mind reader to actually not bait. But if you are staring at your teammate take a gunfight and you only decide to swing after they die, then you are baiting. The only time I will say it's not baiting is when you're side by side with your teammate and they swing randomly. But this goes back to what I said about tendency. In round 1 I watched my Reyna fight and get instantly domed. This clearly means that she likes to take fights, so you have to help her. Now, I don't think this play from Reyna was bad, since we are on an eco round, and the Astra gave away her position. The Reyna is just trying to take advantage of that. So it's technically me and Killjoy's fault for not recognizing that too. This is why it's good to call strats with your teammates. Even though we're speaking telepathically, our Yoru decided to fake his clone into the Vise wall, and that caused their jet to push up onto B main. Now, as you can see, Astra has her wall, since she got an ace last round. Me being stupid, thought it was our Astra wall, and we lost the round.
You are divided!
All missiles away. Senor.
You're dead. Unlucky.
Now, for some reason, I tried to drone where our Astra literally just starved. Then I tried to strafe around the corner and shoot my rocket, but failed fucking miserably. Now, after going over some of the rounds in the attack half, I'd like to give you some key principles to being good on the attack half. First and foremost, reading the enemy's tendencies. It's pretty self-explanatory. After you read their tendencies, you go to number 2. You set up a plan. In my opinion, attack is basically all about who can plan better with all their teammates. This goes into number 3, which is communicating with your team, which includes doing the simplest things like calling go A or go B, or even saying let's just default. Anything is better than nothing, but the most dangerous people on attack are the people that call out plans. You could call for a person's utility and whatnot and tell them where to put what, but the main thing is you tell the team where you want to go and why you want to go there. Like, I know Silva Dart's here, so let's wait it out. Because if your team is the littlest bit more coordinated than before, your chances of being successful in the attack half go up exponentially. Alright, I like to start off by saying that this is more of a belief and not a logical fact, but I believe that the defensive half requires you to take more accountability than on the attack half. Because in my eyes, the defensive half is more about who has better setups and better plans. I like to think that the defensive half is more of the strategic side for you to have setups and basically just try to counter your enemy. I mean, you could have setups for both sides, attack and defense, but I think the most effective one is having more setups for defensive side, since attack has a lot of variance in each round. While it is true that some maps favor you more on attacker side or defender side depending on the map, I do tend to find it to be easier to make plays that I know that are going to work on the defensive half compared to the attack half, because I believe that the defensive half doesn't require as much coordination comparing it to being on attack. And as you can see on Fracture, which is a more attack favorable map, I tend to have a higher win rate on the attack side. And comparing that to Split, I have a higher defensive win rate while also having a good attack win rate, even though Split used to be defensively side. In a way now it's almost 50-50, but since I've played the map so much, I tend to play really well in the defensive half. Watch out for a 5-man.
Locating target.
Smoke's on A.
Drone is down.
I only see in jet. So.
Die!
Hey,
Yeah, they're taking A.
if they try to plan, I'm gonna blow
Target
it up.
destroyed.
Watch out, they might be pushing.
One down.
Jet's in our spawn. So as you can see in the clip, I end up droning out the jet and then completely turning my back to her. If I were to take into account the fact that they were hitting A and she was alone in mid, I could have used my brain and told myself to push up and try to crunch her in mid with my Reyna. Since the likelihood of having more than one person with jet is very low, that means that we can crunch her and kill her and have a higher chance of winning the round. Instead, I decided to turn my back to her and get one shot in the head. Alright, that's pretty much it for this video. I know that I usually don't play Tejo very often, and the majority of the time I usually play Killjoy on Pearl, so we're already starting off bad, and I'm leaving myself open to make simple mistakes. But regardless, I hope you learned something, and I hope that I can learn something from this too, and I can come back to the video and watch it back. But before I go, I'd like to say that everybody is already subscribed. So thank you so much. Also, thank you for the recent success on my newest video. And at the same time, my YouTube shorts are also doing really well. So thank you so much. I guess the last thing I gotta say is if you want more, let me know. Peace.